Hi guys.
Hello.
Welcome to, I guess, episode 1 of our secret offshoot other vlog.
We've just finished recording one of our regular vlogs.
Yeah.
And we've immediately leapt into doing another one. Gosh, we're keen.
Oh, I made another cup of tea first, though. I'm not an insane person.
But it's normally, we at least leave it a day, don't we?
At least, yeah. So today is Thursday the 6th of August. But you will be watching this weeks and weeks in the future. So yes, what are we up to, you say? What are we up to? Well, I guess we'll just have to come out and let you know. There's a thing that we want to tell people.
Yeah.
But we can't tell them until it's a bit further advanced. So we're telling you now, in the future, after the safe point. So yeah.
We've known this for weeks, guys.
Yeah.
Didn't you even know? Didn't you even know yet? Losers.
What we're telling them?
Oh yeah, yeah. Sure, that bit.
We're having a baby. We've just found out this week. What night was it? What day is it today? Thursday? Was it Monday night? Tuesday night?
Tuesday
night? Maybe Monday night? We haven't known very long. Yeah, no, I think it was Monday night. And I think, Tuesday was sort of when we told parents and things. So yeah, we've only just found out. So it is early days for us. We kind of thought, because this is kind of the thing we do now, is we're gonna document our experience. But it's sort of a side thing. It's not the same vlog. It's not about lockdown. It's about what the fuck is going on in there, mainly. So that actually, I've mentioned, if you remember back in the dark mists of time, around about the early August, that I was feeling a little off colour. Well, turns out this is why. So we got a little one on the way. It's early days, so as you may know, the general thing that is kind of the accepted rule with pregnancies is not to sort of go public until after 12 weeks. The reason for that is that about 1 in 5 early pregnancies don't make it to 12 weeks. It's quite common to lose a pregnancy early on, and so I think the thinking, well, it used to be don't tell anyone, and I don't think that's a very good rule of thumb, because I think essentially what that rule is don't upset anybody else with your terrible news.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? Don't tell people, because then you'll have to tell them if the worst happens, but should the worst happen, you do want people
you need to be able to lean on people if it goes wrong, but they have to have known what was going on if in the first place. Also, I kind of think having that nice, lovely, celebratory stage with the people you love and care about is lovely. You might as well have that. You might as well have the bit of joy before the House of Cards comes crashing down, if it's gonna, because you're not going to feel any worse for the House of Cards coming crashing down. However, I would not put it all on Facebook and have people you don't know seeing you in 2 years' time being like, hey, where's the baby? And like, it didn't happen. So that's kind of why. So we are having the rule of thumb where we're telling close friends and family, but we're not making it publicly known. So with the best will in the world, strangers on the internet, I didn't want to tell you at the time. All due respect. So that's why we're having a little side vlog. So what we'll probably do is, once we're past week 12, is we will release these. So we're going to do one a week. We'll probably continue to do one a week after week 12, but you'll have like a 6-ish week catch-up.
Although we're looking forward to making the announcement proper on the regular vlog, and hopefully get the bump in viewers that we did for the proposal episode.
Yeah,
you know, that's why we did it.
That is not why we did it. So for the record, we weren't actually actively sort of full on trying to make babies. However, we were not impeding the possibility, is the best way to put it. I, as you know, actually it happened during this vlog on All Proposal Day, turned 35 recently. We both know that we want to have kids, and we both know that we want to spend the rest of our lives together. As the rest of the world has gone fucking mental, I think we both kind of realised about halfway through lockdown, I think it was sort of early May, that we kind of realised that, like, this isn't going to be the kind of thing that we can wait for everything to get back to normal before we start thinking about it.
It's one of those things they always say, don't they? They say, well, if you wait for it to be the perfect time to have kids, you'll never have kids.
Yeah.
And I mean,
we did not wait for the perfect time.
Sometimes are more imperfect than others, but it's just this thing of sort of going, well, before pre-lockdown and everything, I had pretty good number of gigs in the diary. I was planning on working out my overdraft, and now that's gone away.
You already bought that.
Ellie's business had savings and was looking to expand, and now, a lot of those savings have gone away. I'm still deep in my overdraft, and I'm on furlough from my part-time day job, and I have like one gig in the diary for January. I had a paid gig the other night online. That was nice, but
that'll see you through till January then.
Yeah. So, so obviously we're not where we might be financially, but equally you just go, not only can we not wait for the perfect time, but we don't know when things are going to be normal or whatever, and we'll muddle through. We're not
we know that we will have a roof over our head and food in our belly. We're just going to have to do things on a shoestring. But to be honest, that's kind of how we roll anyway. So I think we will just adapt and survive is the best way to look at it. So yeah, I'm 35. We both know that I want to have kids, and the fact of the matter is, once you sort of get over 30 is considered geriatric in terms of obstetrics and gynecology, which I find offensive. But yeah, basically over 30, sort of your risk factors on certain things increase, your fertility decreases, etc., etc. So there was always the possibility that we might struggle, and that does happen to a lot of people. I did look into the sort of stats on it after I got pregnant, which was I did look into it a while ago, and I knew the odds weren't great, but I sort of checked the figures, and over the age of 35, only about 30% of women will get pregnant after trying for the first year. So it's not like your preggers, even if you're doing all of the right things and actively trying and tracking your ovulation and doing everything you're supposed to at the right time and all of that, which we weren't at that stage yet. Basically, I've been on hormonal contraception for fucking ages, of some kind or other. Since I was about 17, I've been on hormonal contraception. I don't remember what my body does anymore, so the plan was kind of come off that, let my body settle into what it's actually doing, try and sort of learn what's my new normal, and then based on that, maybe we'll have good knowledge to go forward and then start trying down the line. Here we are. It didn't take a lot of trying, as it turned out. I think we had that conversation that maybe I would just come off the pill was the conversation. In early May. I think it was around about the 5th or 6th of May we had that conversation. And then we weren't engaged at that point, so what terrible bad Christians we are. Exactly, we're not, so it's fine. So but then obviously my birthday was the 15th of June. It is looking like, when I sort of look at my apps and look at my tracking, obviously as best I possibly can, 1 month to the day later was the day that did the job, apparently. So we had 1 month of unimpregnated, I guess, engagement before bother. So that's where we're at. So we think I am probably around about the 5-week mark. I didn't know this about pregnancy either, so this is actually going to be a good little lesson for everybody. I'm going to tell you stuff I didn't know. I am 35 years old, and there's a whole lot of shit I did not know about the female body and pregnancy, so you can sit down, strap in, and learn with us. But yeah, they actually date pregnancies on your menstrual cycle, basically. So they'll do it from the day 1 of your last period before the month in which you got pregnant. So week 1 of your pregnancy is before you've ovulated and before you've had the sex that leads to the baby making, which is confusing. So really, it's like pregnancy is 8.5 months long, really. But so it's a 40-week pregnancy, but actually you usually would ovulate at around about the end of week 2. So you have a fertile window, the egg, once it comes out, is only actually viable for about 24 hours. So if Mr. Sperm does not meet Mrs. Egg in that time, end of sports. But you are fertile for more days than that, because sperm can survive in the female body for several days. So if you've had sex in the few days running up to ovulation, that sperm might meet that egg when it turns up. But once it's sort of been released and it's made its way down, then it's end of the sports. It starts to deteriorate. So you've kind of got a window where that happens. But so, although I say I'm 5 weeks pregnant, it's probably been about 3 weeks since we conceived. So it's early days. Now, unfortunately, I do have to go into a quite melancholy bit here, but it's going to be important to talk about it.
All right, well, you do that bit, and then I'll do a trivial upbeat bit afterwards.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Yeah, lovely. Right, fine. Yes, so I do have personal experience of early pregnancy loss. I had a miscarriage previously in a previous relationship several years ago, probably about 6 years ago now. So I was about 8.5, 9 weeks along, and woke up one morning, nasty cramps, feeling not very well. Went to the hospital, they took bloods, they check your hormone levels in those bloods. You have to go back a few days later, they check your hormone levels again, and if your pregnancy hormone is decreasing, that's how they confirm that you have lost or are losing the pregnancy. Depending on how far along you are, there's then sometimes things that they need to do to follow up to make sure that everything is no longer in. But actually, I was fortunate that you could just pass everything, like the worst period of your fucking life. That was fun. So I do know what that feels like to go through. The reason I'm happy to talk about that is it was awful. It was awful. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. I was devastated at the time, obviously, but I think this whole shame and we shouldn't talk about it thing is kind of bullshit. It is essentially saying suffer in silence because this makes other people uncomfortable. And the thing that I didn't realise is, until I went through it, is how common it is. And I think, like, one side of the coin is I think people should know that and should talk about it and should be comfortable supporting each other in that. But also, as a woman, you need to be prepared for it. Like, you need to know that might happen. Like, it's about 1 in 5, like I say, and you need to sort of... So, I'm trying not to sort of go through all of this, which I am elated about, but there is always this little... It might all go away, which I very much don't want to be the case. Of course I don't, and all being well, it won't be. There's no reason to think because that happened to me before that it's any more likely to happen to me again. It is just a thing that happens. Basically, usually when it's early, it's very different when it's later in the pregnancy. Usually that will be for other reasons, and that will be that it was a viable pregnancy that becomes unviable for some reason. Usually with early pregnancy loss, there's an actual problem with the way the baby is developing that means it would never have been able to develop into a sort of a proper functioning embryo. It's usually that there'll be the wrong number of chromosomes. It'll either have too many or too few. It won't have divided properly. It's not possible for that to grow. And so as it develops, it sort of fails to develop things it needs to, and then your body sort of ends the game. So that does just sometimes happen, and there's no real rhyme or reason to why that happens. But I think we need to know that is common. We need to be willing to talk about it, and this goes for men and women. You need to be prepared for it, because nothing's going to make it okay if it happens. But at least if you sort of don't go shouting it from the rooftops to everybody you've ever met. That's why. Because I sort of joke about it, but basically you don't want to tell that dickhead you don't really like in the office, I'm having a baby, and then 6 months later they say, oh, you're not showing, and then you have a breakdown, because that's the kind of thing. People are idiots. People will say the wrong thing. Don't give people you don't want to have this conversation with a reason to have this conversation.
But
basically.
the flip side of that is you should be able to confide in people
Yeah.
that you love you and you care about, and that you should be able to have some support and
Absolutely.
not go through that on your own, the other side of it, and feel like, oh, it's my responsibility to deal with this.
Yeah,
silently.
well, that's the thing, because if it happens to you and you haven't confided in people, you're going to be a mess. You're going to be all over the place, forgetting actually just the emotional side of what you're going through. Your body will be going through a massive hormonal crash. You will feel rough, you'll be in pain, you'll be uncomfortable, and you'll be hormonal as fuck. So your mood will be all over the place anyway. You need to have people to support you. And if it's only you and your other half, that's a lot to put on just the two of you. Because you've got to also remember, they will be grieving as well. If they've not been able to tell any of their friends, they will have to suffer in silence. And also, they've got the full weight of trying to support you through this awful thing that's happened to you emotionally, but is also happening to your fucking body. So, talk about it. Be prepared for it. Obviously, hope for the best. But just know that it can and does happen. And it's unfortunately just a fact of life. I talk about it with... It may seem like I talk about it with relative ease. That's because I think I should. But I'm 6 years down the line. Obviously, it was a very painful thing to go through. But, sort of, in hindsight, overall, I would never have chosen for that to happen. But actually, in the long run, it's probably for the best. Because if I had that baby, I'd be in a very different circumstance now, and very likely that we would not be together, and I wouldn't want my first baby to not be with you. So we've got that to look forward to. That's an adventure we can go on together, and I'm very happy with where my life has led me. Which
is not to say that I wouldn't have been interested in Ellie if she had a kid, but our paths probably wouldn't have crossed. You might not have been dating in the same way, or been in a different place, and we just... Yeah, I just don't know if I would be here now, and basically I wouldn't look back at any of my past and change any of it in case it didn't lead me to where I am now, because where I am now is the best place I've ever been, and I'm very happy. So I wouldn't change a thing, even though that was shit. It was shit. I do kind of think it's part of a broader problem, though, of just sort of discomfort of like anything that's only women is kind of
taboo. So, that's a bit heavy, or that's a bit gross, or that's a bit
not talked about, or talked about in sort of euphemism, and and it's just I've been in groups. I've sort of been in a situation where there's been a group of women talking. Say at work, and I've approached them and I go, hey, what are we chatting about? And it's women's problems. It all gets a bit awkward, and I don't know if they're doing that because they're uncomfortable talking about it around me. In which case, I don't want to make them uncomfortable, and so I would opt out of that conversation. But I don't know if they're sort of going, well, we wouldn't mind talking about it around him,
but we don't want to make him grossed out or uncomfortable.
In which case, I want to go, hey, don't worry,
it's
fine.
It'd be weird because you'd be like, you're talking about what? Tell me the details, because then you'd be like, okay, that seems a bit weird as well.
That's it. And if they're not comfortable, then I don't want to be like, hey, it's fine by me, and we don't want to.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's a shame that Ben Elton has a routine from years and years ago where he talked about like if men had periods, it'd be like, oh mate, I'm on my bloody period, and you see my flow.
Fucking hell, mate.
You see the size of the pads I have to wear.
My bathroom looked like a scene from The Shining.
Yeah, bandy legged I am, trying to get this pad between my legs to walk around the floor. And like, it's a bit of a cliche, but like, if men were the ones who had to have periods, or if men were the ones who had to have miscarriages, then...
if men went through childbirth, fuck me, they'd want a medal.
But we'd hear, with some of these things you're not supposed to talk about, you'd hear a lot more
I think there is an element of, that's unladylike, or, that's we don't need to know about that. And it's like, well, we need to know about all your shit, so come on. I think
you need to know about all my shit.
It's kind of bullshit. It's archaic, and I think, we should just, everybody's better off for knowing about, like, I sort of think that it stems back to sort of sex education. Like, I think from like teenage years and before, I don't really think it's healthy that I understand, like, fair enough to separate the sexes, to go, like, the girls will have the girls talk and the boys will have the boys talk, but I think both of those talks should include what's going on with both sets of bodies, because there's this sense of otherness and weirdness and sort of, I don't need to know about that. But then this, like, the weird squeamishness that men have about periods. I'm like, literally, like, it is just a thing that happens to women, like, all the time. All their life. Your mum's definitely had them. like that's how this works. And also, like, it makes sort of women ashamed of them, and they feel dirty, and it's just a bodily function. It might not be the prettiest bodily function, but you know, it's normal, it's fine. It's not the most pleasant, it's not a lot of fun. If anything, we should get a lot of sympathy, and you should be very nice to us.
On the plus side, now Ellie's pregnant, I'm drinking for 2 now.
Mm-hmm. And I am drinking all the herbal tea. It's really boring.
I have to finish up all the booze in the house.
I know.
And we've just had a bunch of bottles of wine delivered, because that's Ellie's main drink.
Tipple. Yep.
I think it will take me a while, to be honest, because I tend to drink sort of, if left to my own devices on my own, I don't drink an awful lot.
No.
Like,
I lead you very much astray.
But that's not to say, like, oh, Ellie, it's all Ellie's fault. But it's sociable, isn't it?
It's mostly my fault.
Well, but it is. But it's sociable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know.
It'll be like, I'm having a glass of wine. Do you want one? You'll be like, oh, yeah, all right then. But you probably wouldn't have if I'd not suggested it.
And I'm not averse to a drink. I just, like, wouldn't necessarily drink alone in the house. And if you're not drinking, I probably will drink less anyway.
Yeah.
So, which might be good for my waistline anyway. So it might take me a while to get through this red wine, but it's a challenge that I'm willing to take on.
Well, I've got a couple of social engagements, and I think, like, one of them is that my friend Kim says she's having a fire or possible barbecue in her garden on Saturday night. Soon as I turn up anywhere and say to people I'm not drinking, eyebrows will be raised. And while I'm okay having this chat with a few people, not everyone, so I have to get very creative. Like, I think more creative than most people, because most people say, oh, do you know what, I'm not drinking at the moment, I'm trying to lay off. Like, most people, you kind of accept that, but with me, they'd be like, what?
It's Thursday now, Thursday evening, and this is Saturday evening.
Yep.
So we've got 2 days to come
up with a fun lie. I've got some ideas.
All right.
But I will actually, because it's Kim's house, I will tell Kim. So, like, hopefully she'll be, like, because she's hosting, she'll probably be the only one being like, oh, can I get anyone a drink? So maybe I can sort of fly under the radar a little bit there anyway. But yeah, kind of tricky. So yeah, with people, like, we told our parents, because I work with David, I'm telling my brothers, because it would be weird to tell David and not to tell Alan, so I'm going to tell them.
Just be like, oh, I'm not drinking tonight because I'm just sticking to heroin.
Just the hard stuff for me tonight, guys. So there's weird social sort of sides of it. I am looking forward to telling people, but obviously, like, I am scared. Obviously, like, I don't want this to all go away. So what we are doing, I think mainly for my peace of mind, but because I've obviously been through it all going tits up before, I've actually booked us in for a early pregnancy reassurance scan next Saturday, which is the 15th, I think. So by then I should be comfortably over the 6-week mark. That's the earliest you can do them, or that's the earliest you can do them and they be helpful. What that scan is going to look for is going to check how many babies there are, because there's always the possibility that there might be more than one. Also to check that they're in the right place, because there's obviously the chance that you could have an ectopic pregnancy where they're in the fallopian tube and not in the uterus, and those are bad news bears. They're never viable, but they also, if left to sort of grow before it's terminated, they can do serious damage and then affect fertility later on. So check that it's in the right place. Check how many there are. Check if I've got a litter in there or if it's just the one. And also, hopefully, check and listen to the heartbeat. If it's got a heartbeat and if it's in the right place, then that's very good sign. Usually, as I say, if they are lost early in pregnancy, it may be that they're not developing properly. A functioning heartbeat is not a guarantee, but it's a very good sign that you're going to make it to the 12-week mark. They don't do NHS scans until around the 12-week mark. Unfortunately, the reality of that is they don't want to waste scans on possibly unviable pregnancies. So they wait till you've got past the danger zone to then check for everything, which is fair. It's free, but that's why I wouldn't normally sort of spend money on private stuff, but I think it's going to feel like a long 6 weeks getting to that 12-week mark. So I think a little bit of reassurance on the way, but also that'll be a really nice thing to have, hopefully. So going along to that and sort of seeing the actual little bean will make it all feel very real. However, I have plenty of signs that it's very real because my body has gone fucking mental. Guys, you're not prepared. I woke up, the reason I actually did the test, because I wasn't even actually, I didn't think due. I thought I was nearly due. But I woke up, whatever morning it was, it must have been Monday. I woke up angry with the world. Oh, I was in a filthy mood. Woke up angry with anything. Within sort of half an hour to 45 minutes of getting up, I'd calmed down. Then I was crying. And then I was laughing and hysterical. The whole day was me being fucking mental. And I was thinking to myself, well, to be fair, I haven't had, my body's been sort of settling back into things. Maybe this is just my first round of proper PMS in 15, maybe 18 years. And maybe my body's gone, well, fuck you. So I was kind of convincing myself I'm just hormonal, I'm just due on, it's just mental. But then it got to the evening and I started crying to you whilst I was in the bath. And I was properly crying. This is sorry to be graphic, guys, but I'd had a wee just before I got in the bath. And then I got in the bath and I'd been in the bath about 45 minutes to an hour and I desperately needed a wee again. I was like, well, that's not a PMS-y thing. And I'm not normally crying like a dickhead.
And bear in mind, I hadn't even seen you on a period in all the time I'd known you.
No. He was oh, Jesus Christ. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
Well, because you were in quite a bad mood at a certain point. And you said to me, it's not anything you've done.
I just want you to know I'm in a really bad mood.
And I'm like, I appreciate you telling me that, but if it was something I'd done, I could try and do something about it.
Yeah.
If you're just angry anyway, well, I don't know what to do with that. Yeah. That's scary.
Bless you. You're just I could feel that you were just tiptoeing around me. There wasn't anything you could have done. Because actually, if you had been sort of let me try and fix it, I'd be leave me alone. But that's why I was warning you. Because I was just I'm just letting you know. In case I'm spiky with you, or I say anything mean, or I seem off, I'm in a really bad mood. I don't really know why. I've just woken up in a really bad mood. Kind of leave me alone. And quite rightly so, you did. And then I think it was about 45 minutes later, I went, I think I've calmed down now. And you were like, okay, good. And then we had a little hug, and I had a cup of tea, and it was fine. But so it was coming out of the bath. And I'd kind of decided, well, I'm not really due yet. So I bought ages ago, because I knew that I wouldn't know what my body was doing. I wouldn't have a regular cycle, and I wouldn't really know what I was doing. I bought an 8-pack of really cheap pregnancy tests. I think it was $4.99 for 8. So I had some in anyway. And my plan was, because pregnancy tests are, just so you know, chaps, you might not know this. Actually, ladies, you might not know this. But they are best used first thing in the morning, when basically you've got a nice full bladder, and it's the best mark of your fullest hormone levels of the day. So better off to take it first thing in the morning. That'll be your most accurate results. So I was going to wait till the morning, but then when I realised I needed a wee again, I was like, well, that's the only one of these symptoms that I'm having, because also another symptom I was having was boobs really hurt. But that's also a PMS symptom. Chris is going to go feed a cat, but I'll fill you in. So I was like, this all could be PMS, not sure. But then when I realised I needed a wee, I was like, well, that's not normal. And I don't think that's a period thing. I'm just going to do a pregnancy test. Because it'll get it out of my head, and I can just have my evening and put it out of my head. So I hadn't told Chris I was going to take it, because it was sort of an impulse decision, because I was quite impulsive that day, because my mood was all over the shop. So I just kind of went, I'm going to just do one, just out of the bath. And I did it, and literally, I covered it over so I wouldn't be able to see what the result was. And they're cheap, so they take 5 minutes. set a timer on my phone, got dressed. Well, I didn't get dressed, I sort of dried off and all that. Washed my face, brushed my teeth, all of that jazz. And then when the alarm went off, I revealed it, and there were 2 very solid lines on it. And if you've never taken one, 1 means it's worked, 2 means pregnant. If there's no lines, it means it hasn't worked and you need to do another one. So it means the test has failed. Because basically, the one line going off goes, I have detected urine. And the other one goes, I have detected hormones in your urine, and they are of a high enough level to suggest that you are pregnant. This line was solid. Like, there was no faint, no wishy-washy, I'm not sure, is that a line? It was fucking line.
We've still got that pregnancy test, by the way. We don't keep much around the house with urine on it, but we've still got that. That's
another thing that's quite good about those little cheap pregnancy tests, because I've taken pregnancy tests in the past, as is, to be honest, a kind of fact of womanhood, is every now and again you just, like, if you're having sex and you have like a late period, even if you don't think you're pregnant, chances are you're like, I've got to put this out of my head, I've got to check, blah blah blah. The more expensive, posher ones usually have like a big sort of absorbent tip, usually got a cap, and then you take the cap off, you either pee on them or you pee in a jar and then you dip them in the pee, and then you put the lid back on, and then you put it down and you lay it flat and you wait for it to sort of show the results. But these ones are quite good. They come with a little like pipette, so you have to pee in a cup or something, pee in a receptacle of your choice, and then just take like 2 to 3 drops of your pee and just drop it in a tiny little hole on the thing. So they're quite neat and compact and actually a lot less messy and easier. Because actually trying to pee on a stick is quite tricky. Like, probably quite easy if you're a bloke, but it's sort of all kind of hard to sort of aim if you're doing a traditional one. So I did that and I got it ready, and I was, there was a part of me that wanted to be like, I fucking knew I wasn't a dickhead. But then there was another part of me that I was shocked. I did like, oh, right, okay. And then I didn't know what to do with myself, because I hadn't really planned for what that was going to be. And you were in the middle of cooking.
I know, trying to make dinner.
I felt like, well, I can't sit on this information. Like, you'll look at my face and you'll know something is up, because I'm a fairly open book. So I just came downstairs and was like, are you in the middle of an important bit, or can I show you something?
Just put the oil on to heat.
Yep.
For the southern fried jackfruit.
And you're like, well, I'm about to put food on, but it's not on yet. And I was just like, okay, I want to show you something. And you're like, a good something or a bad something? I was like, good something, I think. I was like, there's 2 lines on that. That means I'm pregnant. and then there we are.
Here we are.
So I'm now, 3 days in to knowing. And Christ a fucking live, symptoms for days. But I'm going to leave it there for today.
Well, I want to say, before we wrap up,
yeah,
like, I kind of think we've been talking about what, basically, before all this happened, something I've been doing during lockdown is collecting comic books, graphic novels, and I became quite obsessed with a particular graphic novel. A particular volume that I wanted.
Yes, we mentioned it on our other vlog.
And then my sister tracked it down and found it somewhere and sent me the link, and I ordered it. And it is yet to arrive, and it was between me ordering that book and it arriving that we've obviously found this out. And like, obviously Ellie has been dealing with all these symptoms and has got this scan to have, and has to worry about, like, you know, her health and all these things, and is just dealing with all this stuff brilliantly.
I don't know where this is going.
And as the dad, at this point, my main thing is, well, I guess I'd best not buy any more. Good job I found that book, because I'm
glad I found that before.
Best not buy any. I just can't really justify any more comic books at the moment. Got another mouth on the way to feed, and like, I want to support Ellie as best I can. I want to be in it with her. I want to be there at her side all the way. But, I mean, it is very much a different experience.
I think so.
And this is why I'm a little bit suspect. When you get those men that sort of go, we're pregnant, and I'm not telling anyone else how to live their lives or what to do, and if their partners are okay with that, but I'm like, Ellie's pregnant. And I'm the dad, and that's great. But
you've been brilliant, because you've been very sort of, admittedly, I think it's fair to say, slightly bemused, slightly like, okay, what what do we do? What is this? Like explain, like what's going on? But that's fine. That's good. We're learning together. We're learning as we go. But I'm being quite frank and open about what I'm going through because, like, it's kind of what I'm like. But also, I kind of like. I think I get a bit obsessed about convincing myself it's real a little bit, and like sort of. But I have been very encouraged by the fact that over the last few days, my symptoms have very much increased. I felt a little bit off previously. Now it's like, oh yes, something's going on. But I won't go into the details because actually maybe a week from now we'll be further down the symptoms line. So we're going to try and do these once a week, I think. So we'll do through pregnancy, through Babbins, and maybe to beyond. We'll see. But yeah, so we're not going to release these until after the 12-week mark because that would be very melancholy to do so, and then you guys have to sort of, strangers on the internet, just watch me cry and get very snotty.
So yeah, hopefully it won't come to that, but if it does, you'll never know.
Exactly. So we will just never watch these ever again.
You will see this, and it's a lovely, happy thing.
Yes. So that's where we're at. So we will see you. Well, actually, these first, however many they are, until we get to 12-week mark, we'll probably release it in quite short succession. Maybe every other day. So keep them waiting. Maybe.
I don't know. I was thinking, well, these ones we stacked up. I was thinking maybe we put them out on the days that we haven't put out a regular vlog.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Maybe. But we'll see. We'll have chats about that. We'll see how many there are and what the contents are, and see how that goes. But we'll probably put these as a separate playlist. So these won't be Lockdown with Chris Chopping and Ellie Daniel. We'll have to come up with a name for it.
Yes, it might be different.
But
audiences or different, some people might be like, oh, I can't be asked hearing about your pregnancy.
So this is going to be, we're going to try and be frank and honest and open about it, tell you what we're going through emotionally and physically. Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe it'll be a good thing for people trying, people expecting, men who don't know what to do with their fucking mental women, because with me to judge, like obviously every pregnancy is different. Different women will have different symptoms. I can only tell you what I'm going through, but crikey, it's weird. It's really weird, guys. But anyway, so look forward to telling you all about that. So yeah, we will see you soon. Yeah, so I guess we've got to start all over again. So we can't do like and subscribe because that's our thing. Well, like and subscribe.
There's no shame in it. Less shame that. Also, if you want to donate to our coffee account, we've always said previously we're going to spend that on cat food.
Might
go
have
on
to go
baby food and nappies.
Now. Baby food and nappies. Well, hopefully I'll be able to do the feeding for a bit. So just nappies.
Yeah. If you really love cats and hate children, then
we'll use yours for cat food.
Yeah, in your donation, just leave a note saying don't spend this on nappies, cat food, or dog food only, please. And we'll respect your wishes.
So yeah, that's our coffee account. It is ko-fi/Chris Ellie is our coffee account. So do please throw us a bone. We'll need it. And yeah, we'll be back. We'll keep you updated. I'll let you know what bullshit's going on with my body next time. Look forward to that, guys. See ya.
Bye.